What up, fellow comic heads? It is I, Comic Head 84, coming at you with my new comic book day pickups, haul, review for this week. Whatever week it is, February 20 something. I got some pickups for the week. I read a bunch of books, and I'm ready to break it down to you. What's the cover of the week? What's the best read of the week? What's hot? What's not? And give you my thoughts on the whole 9 yards. So, without further ado, let's do what we do. Alright guys, let's fire this baby up. And real quick, let me just give a quick thank you to everyone who's been making Comic Head 84 contest videos. I noticed like in the last week or so after I made that last like update video, a bunch of people dropped contest entry videos. I love it. That shit like brightens my day when I see that. I get a kick out of it. Thank you everyone for making the support videos. I appreciate it very much. And I'm gonna drop the winner of that book very soon, next week. Going down next week, so I'm probably gonna do like one more update video and list everybody because I botched the last one. I forgot obvious people, so I'm gonna take my time, go very meticulously through the list, and make sure I have everyone, go through it. And I got a couple surprises in store. Let's just say that I'm gonna leave you in suspense. I got some surprises in store, okay, for that contest giveaway. Anyway, let's get to what we're doing now, which is New Comic Book Day haul. So first up, I'm going to start off with my DC. I'm a little light on DC this week. This is kind of almost reverse to, what you normally see from me. That's why I don't pick sides. I just read what I like. And this week was Marvel heavy. There wasn't a ton of DC titles that I was into this week. So I grabbed Nightwing. If you recall, this cover was on like my hot picks video list, and I still just really love to see this thing in person. In person, this thing looks great. I love this image with Nightwing on the cover. But as far as the inside, it's a shame that Nightwing doesn't really exist right now. Like, this dude on the cover, who is that? Because he ain't in the book. You know what I mean? I took a break from Nightwing for a few issues. It's been like 2 or 3 issues since I've read it. Once I realized what they were doing with the whole Rick Grayson thinks he's someone else gimmick. I don't know. More of the same here. Yeah, he's got this girlfriend, and it's like a Supergirl power issue, which I guess is fine, but it's like, it's really on the nose. Like, he's dating this girl, and like 3 different times throughout the book, they're like, you know what? She's the real superhero, not me, because she like volunteers at a homeless shelter or something. Like, she's the real superhero. I'm not even close to a superhero. It's like, well, you kind of are, but whatever. And there's like a little crew of Nightwing people, Joker's daughter's in it, whatever. It was alright. Next. Next is Batman. Let's go to my boy Batman. Issue number 65. Picked that one up digitally, and I liked it. Fun read. The cover, by the way, was weak. Sometimes these covers are hit or miss on Batman. The B cover, was alright. I didn't really feel inclined to grab it. The A cover, I feel like that A cover looks crazy. Like, the art on this thing it reminds me of, like, remember those the Burger King Club kids? It looks like, that's what Flash looks like anyway. Flash looks like a Burger King Club kid cartoon. Anyway, that covers, both of them are kind of weak in my opinion. But inside, fun story, Gotham Girl. Gotham Girl's pretty cool, pretty awesome. I didn't know anything about this character. I think she had a storyline in the Batman series, maybe during Rebirth or something, when I was away from like reading regularly. So she was new to me, but I thought it was an interesting character, and just a fun issue. This one was done by, because this is not Tom King. They're giving him a little break, I guess, for this the cost or the price storyline. Joshua Williamson is the writer, and Guile March is the artist. So, hey, keep those guys on it for all I care, because this is a welcome reprieve from Tom King, what he's currently doing anyway on this title. So, Batman 65, fun issue. It was a fun ride. Bueno. Next, let's just get into Marvel. That was all I had for DC. Marvel. Let's kick it off with some Black Order, baby. Black Order, as I predicted, I picked, because I really like this series, and as I predicted, I picked up the A cover, the In-Hyuk Lee cover, and I love this thing, man. Because I was kind of bummed out, because I had been picking up the Josh Tyler, Christopher up close covers variants, because they dropped some really good ones with Corvus Glaive and the big troll guy, and it's kind of like all black. But the Black Swan one, I don't know, it was just off-putting to me. It was not cool looking. Then I saw this thing, a really well done. In-Hyuk Lee is just a beast. Great Nova cover. So anyway, that's the cover spiel. And as far as the inside on this thing, Black Order remains strong, in my opinion. Fun series. Villains doing villain things. The one disappointment, I guess, on this one, I was a little bummed out to see that they've been establishing a pattern for the first 3 issues anyway, where it's like one member of the Black Order was kind of like the main character that you're following for that issue. First one is Corvus Glaive, and throughout that book, the narration blocks throughout the comic is his inner monologue, Corvus Glaive's inner monologue. Second issue, Proxima Midnight, and you're getting her inner monologue throughout the book, the Black Dwarf guy, on the third issue. So I was like, oh, that was cool. That was one of the things I really liked about the series, is each issue, as we're following the story, you're getting the story from inside the head of one of each of these characters. So that was really fun. But this is the Black Swan issue, obviously, and it's not that with her. It's like the narration block for her it feels like it's like a third person telling this like analogous story about a princess and a warrior prince or something. And I understand there's obviously like heavy metaphors, what's going on in the story, and this like analogy tale that's being told, but it's not, Black Swan's inner monologue as the scenes are playing out, which is what has been happening in previous issues, which I liked. So we didn't get that this issue. It's okay. So whatever. Next issue, Ebony Maw, who's one of my favorite characters of this Black Order. Looking forward to his story. I like his character. This was the preview of, I think, the A cover, which is pretty nasty, and the B cover I haven't seen yet. I'm assuming it's going to be one of those up-close face covers, and I really want to see a cool Ebony Maw headshot. So that's Black Order. That was a fun issue. Next issue, cover of the week alert. Cover of the week alert. Dog. Venom 11. The Watchmen cover. The cover's so nice, your boy had to get it twice, which I never do. If you watch my videos, I'm not the guy that's like, oh, check it out, I really like this book, I grabbed like 3-5 copies, I never usually get more than 1 copy of a book, honestly. I don't really flip like that. But I don't know, this cover, I had to grab 2 of them. I just felt compelled. So bang, that's it. I did read it, but I'm a little out of the loop. I stopped reading a couple issues ago. I jumped back on. I don't know. It seemed fine. Did I put any notes about it? I don't know. There's something that's probably It's a spoiler, I think, if I tell you. But some kind of plot twist thing happens in it, but whatever, man. It's all about that cover, though. I love me some Watchmen. And yes, I will say, props to Biggie Shack, who is the one who put me on to this cover. That's how I learned about this cover 2 or 3 weeks ago. Biggie Shack told me. He was like, dude, Venom 11, you need to get up on that variant. And I was like, okay. So, props to him. Biggie Shack has his finger on the pulse on things sometimes. So, that was Venom 11. Next up, in the Marvel game, Old Man Quill. Old Man Quill number 2. Good issue. This was a good issue. I like that we're in this wasteland area, and I'm about to read a little something from one of the panels in this book, because it's something that a character says, and I'm almost gonna pose this as, like, I don't know, a question to you guys, because I'd never really read Old Man Logan, so the only real familiarity I have with this world, this wastelands, post-apocalyptic, post-superhero, it seems like, world, is Old Man Hawkeye. Excuse me. So Old Man Hawkeye is how I got introduced into this whole thing. Now, there's a line that someone says, because Dr. Doom is the guy that's, like, running shit in the town that they drop in. Seems like it used to be New York, which is awesome. I love Dr. Doom. I'm into that. And one of the guys says, as he's explaining the territory to the squad, he says, yeah, Magneto ran things here, but then the Kingpin came in and killed him. And then Spider-Woman came in and killed Kingpin and took over. So then she was like our oppressor for a while. And then eventually Dr. Doom came in and wiped out Spider-Woman, and now he's the dictator of this town. So from Magneto to Kingpin to Spider-Woman to Dr. Doom. Now, my question is this. Are there comics that play out that storyline? Was that part of Old Man Logan? Where there's a time where it's like Magneto's running shit over a town and him and Kingpin have battle over the territory, and is that a story arc? Because that sounds crazy. I don't know. It just caught my eye when I heard the local character say that. I was like, whoa, that sounds like a cool battle for territory. Did that happen in the comics? So if so, let me know. Other than that, I'm happy to stay following this series. Old Man Quill number 2. Next up, Uncanny XMen number 12, y'all. If you recall, let me just put this here. Uncanny XMen number 12. Great comic. If you recall, last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I was really happy with X-Men 11. Uncanny X-Men 11. Because, what has been coming out up until, right around now, on X-Men title has been, disappointing. The first 10 issues of Uncanny let your boy down, and I'm an X-Men fan. I want to see quality X-Men stories. But the return of Cyclops was done well. You got all the main cast in this Age of X-Men world. So that frees up, our continuity to be a really slimmed down team or world. So 11 started out good. Number 12 continues to be really good. You basically got Cyclops and Wolverine teaming up to go on a jailbreak mission to break some dudes out of prison. So is that a cool premise or what? That's the kind of premise I like. That was more or less the whole plot of that issue. Wolverine and Cyclops on a prison break mission. And some cool stuff happens along the way. We meet some new Sentinels that we've never seen before, and there's something pretty interesting about them. There's some cool character cameos of like who they're breaking out of prison That was interesting. There's a character death, I think, that happens during that prison breakout. So, like, I love that. Fairly simple story. A lot of cool things happen throughout. We got plot progress. Good stuff. Just a good X-Men comic, alright? And one thing I will say, shout out to White Whale Comics, who, on the last page of this issue, is, and I'm not going to show it because it's kind of spoilery, but the last page is the classic villain reveal on the last page. Yeah, he had pointed that out on one of his new comic book day videos of like, how many times are we going to see that? You end a comic and the last page is, you know, the whole storyline was happening or whatever, and then you turn the last page and it's like, oh shoot, introduce villain who you didn't expect until the last page. You know what I'm saying? It's like this X-Men book's going, and it's like right at the very end, Magneto, we'll see about that. And it's like, what? I didn't know he was the villain. Like, that happened in like probably 3 or 4 different comics that I read this week. The freaking cliffhanger villain reveal. It's like such a trope now at this point. Amazing Nightcrawler #1 is pretty whack. It's kind of a lousy comic. It's just like, it's unnecessary. I feel like whatever shit that they're covering in this series, you could easily cover this stuff in like a couple pages in the main Age of X-Men run. Like, I can already see that this Hollywood Nightcrawler deal is not going to be that interesting, that important. I don't think, anyway. And dude, the worst part of it, it happens pretty much in all comics. It happens in Marvel a lot, I will say. There's nothing worse than failed attempts at comedy. People who are not funny or are not good at humor, that will straight up kill a comic for me, honestly. Is really bad humor. Or like, makes me cringe humor. I hate that shit, man. And there's lots of it in this book. I want to point out one particular little trope that I see a lot in comics in general, is when they introduce a character, the little like box that pops up underneath their name that like describes them, usually like 3 bullet points, you know? Like, I think when Nightcrawler shows up, it's like actor, most famous man in the world, teleporter, right? You get the 3 things. It's kind of like a standard comic thing, I think. I remember I used to see it in Scott Pilgrim a lot. Like, when they introduce a character, it's like boom, boom, boom. But they're like, sometimes they're like little clever, funny things. So you see one, like, they throw Nightcrawler's personal trainer, Colin McKay. Boom, Colin McKay. Who, by the way, that's Kai Lun. Kai Lun from Excalibur. He's like kind of like the feral tiger dude. So anyway, Kai Lun. They show him, Colin McKay, ectomorph and personal trainer, likes catnip, hates laser pointers. Come on. What? Because Kai Lun's kind of like a cat guy? Like, what are we reading here? Likes catnip, hates laser pointers? Kai Lun from Excalibur? And they do it again with these other 2 characters. I never heard of them before, but I'm assuming they are recent additions to the X-Men world. Celeste Cuckoo, right? And of course, that name is prime for puns, am I right? Celeste Cuckoo. Telepath, hive mind. Not actually a bird. Yeah, not funny. And then I guess she has a sister. Irma Cuckoo. Telepath, hive mind. Also not a bird. What? Because the last name's Cuckoo. Alright. Obviously she's not a bird, I can see it. She's a female telepath, whatever. So it's like, it's not funny. They did one for the other, I forget the character, but it's like Nightcrawler's partner. When they introduce her, they say her mutant powers, and one of them was like, apple enthusiast. Apple enthusiast? Like, I hate that shit. It's like, oh, it's so quirky and random. It's really not. Next up, my read of the week is Saki #1 from Mark Millar. I enjoyed the book very much. I thought it was a fun time, man. I wasn't sure what to expect with this book. You know, my kind of general feeling on Millar right now is, gee, I hope he's gonna put out good stuff. Is everything that he's dropping right now just like a straight up play for a Netflix show? It doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. If the dude is, if anything, that might lead to better, like really good content. I know if I was in Millar's shoes and I got to deal with Netflix and I got something where my properties could all get transferred, or many of them could get transferred into Netflix shows, I'm going to try to put out the best work of my life so I can get those Netflix checks and have shows get renewed. So some people have been, you know, looking at him as like a sellout, and maybe he's just going to put out, you know, shitty mainstream type comics. But, you know, if Umbrella Academy is any example, if you guys have been watching that, Netflix is down to put pretty quirky shit on, and I was a big fan of the Umbrella Academy show. I thought it was cool. So I don't know. I feel like this is a plus if Millar has this deal going with Netflix. Hopefully he puts out good shit. I think Saki is an example of some good stuff. So you got kind of like almost like a middle-aged kind of bounty hunter dude. He's rocking like a Tom Selleck type mustache and a straight up Hulk Hogan horseshoe hairdo, the bald spot in the top and the long thing around the sides. So he's kind of a quirky looking dude, kind of a badass. He whips around in a space ice cream truck, which is a cool vehicle. And I just like the world that's being established here. There's lots of cool little moments where they drop in little details about this world that they're in, and it's funny. Like, in comparison to like the Nightcrawler that I was just going through, of like the humor really wasn't hitting for me. Like, this was legitimately funny stuff to me. They're not telling me jokes, you know. They're not showing me like a cat guy, you know, and saying, oh, he like puns on someone's name or what they look like. They just kind of give me like an absurd little quirk about that world, and you know, just happening in the background. I love that kind of shit. So funny moments, cool little world. Like he ends up sleeping with an alien woman in this book, and she kind of has like 2 tires for feet. She's kind of like mechanized, and he asked her what's the deal with that, and she said she's in the middle of transitioning from organic being to like vehicle machine. And it's funny, like the conversation that they have in bed with each other, it's, you know, it's obviously hitting all the same themes as someone who would want to transition genders in our world. But in this like future alien setting, she's talking about how she wants to, you know, the real her feels like a vehicle, a machine, and she wants to, you know, transition over. It's a cool scene, interesting dialogue. I liked it. Very interesting show. Interesting. Look at me. I'm jumping the gun already. Interesting comic. I guess the one thing is, you know, there's like a little 10-year-old kid that gets linked up with him, and it looks like that's going to be his little sidekick throughout the book. And as I was reading it, it just made me realize that trope gets used a lot. Like, don't we see that a lot of like older grumpy guy and young enthusiastic kid duo? Like, oh, aren't they so different? I don't know. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing like inherently bad about that. Like Logan and X-23 is like an example that comes right from off the top. That was a good one. But anyway, it just gets done a lot. It's getting into trope territory. So it would have been nice to just see them do something else. Give them a different sidekick. I don't know. The old guy, young kid is kind of whatever. But Saki is still read of the week, and I enjoyed it very much. Next book is one that I have. This is the last hard copy book that I bought. Zodiac #1. I've been on a kick lately for my hot, scary women covers. And ooh, baby, Xenoscope put out a fire one. I just love the art on this thing. I don't really plan to read this book, but when I saw that imagery with that cool swooping blue background with the skulls and this chick with like the Papa Shango face going on, I was all about it. All about it. So, boom, Zodiac #1. And that, you know what? I'm not even gonna get into any more. Incursion #1. I read Incursion. I'm getting self-conscious because this video is so long. 30 minutes. That's too long. Incursion #1. Valiant Comics. I read it. I liked it. There's like some Galactus vibes to it. The villain has Galactus vibes. Like, I'm gonna come and feed on your planet type shit. Pretty interesting. I'm gonna continue to follow Incursion. You might want to do it too. Boom. Last thing I'm going to leave you guys on is, if any of you guys have read Monstrous, let me know. Because I was in the shop today, and I saw it on the stands, and I picked it up. It's like on issue 20. I started thumbing through it. The art looked really cool. And I was reading a couple bubbles, and it just looked interesting. But I always get like intimidated. It's tough for me to jump onto something that's 20 issues in. What's the word? And if you guys read Monstrous, is it something I should make a point and go back to issue 1 and start reading? Because it looks cool. Let a brother know. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you spending the time that you have spent so far with me. It doesn't go unnoticed. It's very much appreciated. Keep your kids off drugs and keep them on comics. Alright, catch you later. Peace.